I think he's terrified of what people think. Afraid of being hated. Afraid that if he actually has a relationship with his kids, he'll have to listen to them, consider their opinions, and validate their feelings. I think he worries that reconnecting with them might disrupt the relationships that are going well. Like the one he has with Robyn. If he starts dividing his time among all his children, what will it cost the kids who live under his roof? What will it take away from his personal freedom? I think, at his core, he's scared to give up what he has and what he's built for himself. Kody Brown's so-called apology tour on the show is nothing more than a performance. It's a calculated attempt to control the narrative to make himself look better, and perhaps soften the criticism from those of us online who call out his behavior. But this tour isn't fooling anyone, not his kids, not the viewers, and certainly not the truth. According to his children, it's all fake. Robyn plays a big part in this. Kody, obsessed with protecting her, often takes the blame or plays the villain to cover her actions. He refuses to have relationships with his children, unless they also have a relationship with Robyn, a condition that, for many of them, is impossible. Mykelti and Tony have pointed this out, observing Kody's behavior even outside the family home. While watching Special Forces, Mykelti noticed that Kody seemed more like himself, less influenced by Robyn. But it wasn't a surprise to her. She recognized the pattern. Kody struggles to respect women and has long-standing issues with working alongside them. Yet, without Robyn around, his personality surfaces more authentically. When he's away from Robyn, he's not performing for anyone. He doesn't have his spouse watching him. He doesn't have his kids observing his every move. His accountability is only to himself. In those moments, Kody can finally act like himself, showing glimpses of honesty and self-reflection that are otherwise buried beneath the performance. He maintains around Robyn, but when he returns home, everything changes. Robyn's presence reshapes him instantly. The accountability he showed on Special Forces disappears, replaced by the same narrative that protects her. He apologizes for his own mistakes in front of his kids, but immediately shifts the story at home. Robyn's influence ensures that any thought of reconnecting with his children is filtered through her approval. She determines the value of these relationships, tying their worth to whether they also accept her. In doing so, she controls the very connections Kody could have had with his children. Years of hurt, abandonment, and misunderstanding cannot be erased by a simple apology. Mykelti and the other children know this. Making an effort to reconnect is far more complex than a casual reach-out. It requires accountability, consistency, and a genuine pattern of showing up, qualities Kody has historically failed to demonstrate. Maddie, for example, has said she could accept an apology, but it wouldn't automatically restore their relationship. For her, rebuilding trust depends on consistent, tangible actions, something she doesn't believe Kody is capable of providing. Kody's absence during their upbringing had lasting effects. With 18 children and multiple partners, he was rarely present. He traveled for work, sold ice cream, and later worked in signage, spending weeks away from home. Children like Maddie were left with adult responsibilities at a very young age, caring for siblings and helping their mother simply because Kody was never there. Bonds that should have formed in childhood never had the chance to develop. Without a real connection, he struggles to see value in these relationships, making it easier for him to view his children as distant, almost abstract figures. Robyn's manipulations further complicate matters. She conditions Kody's relationships on her acceptance, knowing full well that some of the kids won't reciprocate. She creates barriers, ensuring that meaningful connections remain out of reach. Kody's willingness to comply with her demands isn't coincidence, it's a pattern. He adapts, mirrors, and molds himself to the expectations of the person he's with, lacking a strong personal identity. His behavior fits the profile of a narcissist who prioritizes the desires of his supply over authentic action. Away from Robyn, his authentic self appears. With her, he becomes a reflection of her will. This dynamic has real consequences. Many of Kody's children will never form relationships with Robyn, and thus, by extension, they struggle to have relationships with him. While Robyn's influence is often highlighted, it's ultimately Kody's responsibility. He allows himself to be controlled and, in doing so, abandons his children emotionally. Polygamy complicates the dynamics, often casting blame on women while men escape scrutiny. But in this case, Kody bears ultimate responsibility. The years of pain, manipulation, and neglect cannot be solved with a scripted apology. Robyn and Kody feed on each other's worst traits, creating cycles of control and fear. Attempts at reconciliation are undermined by these dynamics. Kody's children understand the pattern. They know that one apology will never change the past, nor will it guarantee a future where he consistently shows up for them. The show may portray reconciliation attempts, but reality for his children is far more complicated. Kody's apology tour fails not because his intentions are unclear, but because the foundation of trust and accountability has been broken for too long. His children are wary, his relationships remain fractured, and the patterns that created these divides remain unchallenged. No performance, no narrative control, and no superficial act of contrition can undo years of neglect and manipulation. I believe he's scared of judgment, scared of being disliked. I think he's anxious that if he truly connects with his kids, he'll have to hear them out, consider their feelings, and acknowledge their perspectives. There's also the fear that rekindling these relationships might disrupt the ones that seem stable, like his bond with Robyn. Dividing his time among all his children could feel like a loss of control, loss of freedom, loss of the comfort he's grown accustomed to. At the heart of it, he's afraid to let go of the life he's built for himself. Kody Brown's so-called apology tour on the show is nothing but a calculated performance. It's meant to control the narrative, make him look better, and perhaps soften the backlash from viewers online. But anyone paying attention can see through it. His kids know it's insincere. Robyn plays a key role in this. Kody is obsessed with protecting her, often taking the fall or presenting himself as the bad guy to shield her. He refuses to maintain relationships with his children unless they also accept Robyn, a condition that many of them cannot meet. Mykelti and Tony have observed this firsthand. Watching Special Forces, Mykelti noticed a side of Kody that seems closer to who he truly is, less influenced by Robyn, less performative, more authentic. She recognizes the pattern. Kody struggles with women, doesn't easily respect them, and yet, without Robyn's influence, his true personality emerges. Away from Robyn, he doesn't have to perform. His spouse isn't monitoring him, his kids aren't scrutinizing him, and no one is holding him accountable except himself. In those moments, he can show glimpses of honesty, of the person he might really be. But the moment he returns home, everything changes. Robyn's presence reshapes him. The accountability he showed on Special Forces vanishes. He apologizes to his kids but shifts the story when he's back with Robyn. She controls how he approaches his relationships, determining their value based on whether they also include her. In doing so, she manipulates the connections Kody could have had with his own children. The years of hurt and neglect in this family run deep, far beyond what a simple apology can fix. There's no shortcut to repairing decades of distance, abandonment, and unresolved pain. Making an effort to reconnect requires more than words. It demands accountability, consistency, and proof through actions. Kody hasn't shown that. Maddie, for example, has said she could accept an apology, but that wouldn't automatically restore their relationship. For her, trust can only be rebuilt through repeated effort, through a genuine demonstration that he will be present and reliable, a pattern she knows he isn't capable of maintaining. Kody's absence during their formative years left scars that can't simply be erased. With 18 children across multiple marriages, he was rarely around. His work took him away for long stretches selling ice cream, then working in signage, and when he was home, he often wasn't truly present. Children like Maddie were forced to take on adult responsibilities at a very young age, caring for siblings and managing the household because their father was absent. Bonds that should have been nurtured in childhood never had the chance to grow, and as a result, many of his children never formed a real connection with him. Without these bonds, it's easy for him to dismiss their humanity. Viewing them as distant figures, he doesn't fully see the value in having relationships with them. Robyn's influence compounds the problem. She places her own needs and approval at the center of these relationships, making them contingent on her acceptance. She knows that many of the children won't engage with her, and she uses that knowledge to control whether Kody will maintain contact with them. By tying her worth to theirs, she ensures that meaningful connections remain out of reach. Kody, in turn, allows this to happen. His identity is malleable, shaped by the people around him. He mirrors Robyn, adopting her attitudes, her personality, and her narrative, because he lacks a strong sense of self. Away from her, his authentic personality surfaces, but in her presence, he becomes an extension of her will. This dynamic has devastating consequences. Many of his children will never have a relationship with Robyn, and as a result, struggle to have a relationship with Kody. While Robyn's role is significant, the ultimate responsibility rests with him. He chooses to let her control these dynamics, abandoning his children emotionally in the process. Polygamy complicates the situation further, often creating a culture where women receive disproportionate blame while men escape scrutiny. But in Kody's case, the weight of responsibility is his. He allows a partner to dictate how he interacts with his children, leaving them hurt, neglected, and frustrated. Years of manipulation, neglect, and trauma cannot be undone with a superficial apology. Robyn and Kody feed each other's worst traits, creating cycles of control, fear, and emotional distance. Reconciliation is impossible as long as these patterns persist. Kody's children understand this well. They know that one apology will not change the past, nor will it guarantee that he will be there in the future. Attempts on the show to present reconciliation are performative, but for the children, the reality is far harsher. They have experienced a lifetime of inconsistency, abandonment, and manipulation. They know that trust must be earned, not spoken into existence. Kody's apology tour will fail not because of intention or effort, but because the damage runs too deep, the accountability is absent, and the cycles of control are too entrenched. Tony and Mykelti's perspectives make it painfully clear just how entangled and toxic this family dynamic has become. Tony pointed out that when Robyn tells Kody it's important for the kids to reconnect with him, he hears it differently. He sees it as a package deal. In his mind, it's not just about him, it's about Robyn too. And because he is fiercely protective of her, he will interpret any conversation through that lens. If the kids reject Robyn, then in his mind, he cannot fully engage with them. It's never just Kody alone, it's Kody and Robyn together, inseparable in his approach to family. Robyn understands this instinctively. She knows exactly how to influence Kody, knowing that if she positions herself strategically, she can control the outcome. She can make it seem as if reconnecting with the children is conditional. And she knows that many of them won't want a relationship with her. By doing this, she essentially decides for him, steering him toward the outcome she wants. Kody, desperate to protect her and maintain her approval, goes along with it. He mirrors her expectations, following the path she sets. This dynamic illustrates a larger truth about Kody's character. He is, in many ways, a narcissist, but he is the type whose behavior is shaped by whoever he is closest to at the moment. He adapts, he mirrors, and he acts according to the desires of the person he's with. In order to gain approval or emotional supply, away from Robyn, glimpses of his authentic self appear. With her, he becomes a reflection of her will, a man lacking a solid personal identity, engulfed in her influence. The consequences are severe. Many of his children will never have a relationship with Robyn, and as a result, they cannot fully have a relationship with Kody. Mykelti and Tony emphasize that Robyn manipulates, plays games, and pits people against each other, creating further barriers. While Robyn is often blamed for these dynamics, Kody's responsibility cannot be ignored. He chooses to allow her control, leaving his children to navigate the fallout. Polygamy compounds the situation, and societal norms often place the blame on the woman rather than the man. But in this case, Kody is accountable. His children's suffering is, ultimately, a result of his choices. Years of pain, neglect, and manipulation cannot be undone with a single apology. The cycles of control, fear, and codependence are too entrenched. Robyn and Kody feed off each other's worst traits, reinforcing patterns that prevent healing. Kody's children understand this deeply. They know that a single act of contrition will never change the past or guarantee a better future. Attempts to reconcile on the show are performative, but the reality for the children is far harsher. Consistency, accountability, and genuine effort are necessary to rebuild trust. And those are things Kody has consistently failed to provide. His apology tour is destined to fail because the damage runs too deep. The responsibility has been shirked and the toxic patterns remain unbroken. In the end, the story isn't just about one apology or one attempt at connection, it's about years of neglect, manipulation, and missed opportunities. Kody's children know the truth, and they will continue to navigate the consequences of a father who chooses control, comfort, and compliance over accountability, presence, and genuine love. Looking at the bigger picture, it becomes clear how deeply Kody and Robyn's relationship shapes everything in this family. Their codependence is a driving force behind the dysfunction. Kody bends to Robyn's will, adapts to her fears, mirrors her anxieties, and allows her influence to dictate how he interacts with his children. Robyn, aware of this, wields her influence with precision. She knows exactly what to say and when to say it, understanding how Kody will respond. Together, they reinforce a system where control and compliance take precedence over genuine family bonds. The children's perspectives reveal the consequences of this toxic dynamic. Many will never have a meaningful relationship with Robyn and therefore cannot fully connect with Kody. Mykelti and Tony emphasize that Robyn's manipulations, her games, and her ability to pit people against each other are major obstacles. But Kody's choice to comply, to allow these manipulations to shape his relationships, is equally significant. Ultimately, he is accountable for the relationships he has or doesn't have with his children. Polygamy complicates accountability further. Societal and cultural norms often place the blame on women, but Kody's responsibility cannot be overlooked. His choices, his absence, and his willingness to let Robyn dictate the terms of his family connections have left lasting scars. Years of neglect, manipulation, and emotional distance cannot be undone with a simple apology or a performance on a reality TV show. Kody's children understand this reality. They know that one apology will not erase years of hurt. They know that words alone cannot rebuild trust. Reconciliation requires consistency, effort, and accountability, qualities Kody has repeatedly failed to demonstrate. Robyn's influence ensures that the cycle continues, making genuine connection almost impossible. In the end, Kody's so-called apology tour is destined to fail. The damage runs too deep, the accountability is absent, and the patterns of control and codependence remain firmly in place. His children will continue to navigate the consequences of a father who prioritizes control and comfort over accountability, presence, and genuine love. The story of Kody Brown and his family is a cautionary tale of how power, manipulation, and codependence can fracture relationships, leaving a trail of emotional fallout that no performance or scripted apology can fix.